circle. The one-finger drum circle. Doesn't sound right. Greetings, good evening. Welcome to the second student reading. I'm looking forward to hearing whether anybody's been listening to the teachers or not. It really is, I do feel very honored and glad and proud to be up here on the mountain with all of you. And I look forward to hearing your work tonight. And we are at the point where things will quickly disintegrate tomorrow. People will run off quickly. Let's make sure to have enough energy to go out with a bang tomorrow with our final workshop and the craft lecture with Diane, which will be at, as I said, we're moving to 1:30 instead of 2. And then we'll all just effervesce away and we'll wander off into the pines, only to hopefully reunite next summer or wherever it is that you all run into each other in between. So what we've asked tonight is for the participants to read a poem. And no one who's here has told me they don't want to read. Is there anybody who is declining the offer? Okay, good. My threat earlier was good, to come up and pretend to be you, and that's good. I thought that was a good threat. I like to be on target with my threats. So that's good. I feel rewarded.
It's your dorm parent training.
That's right. That's right. I have often been stentorian in this room and others. So we're going to read by alphabetical order by first name, and I have figured out what those are up on the board, if that's legible or not. You know your own name. So what the most expedient thing to do might be to just, when it's your turn, come up, do say your name, read your poem, and then bask in the applause. And then the next reader will come up. Adjust this as you like. I think it's probably an adequate volume, but should I turn it up more? What was your snare?
We have a light over.
On? Yeah.
Maybe turn it off.
No, it's over. I think it's these over here. These are the ones that are just.
Wait a minute, wait.
Great, thank you.
Got it.
Turn those off. You can actually control all of them from up here. How's this?
Mystic.
Now it's classy. Okay. So, please welcome our first reader, Allison.
My name is Allison Turner, and this poem is called Art Lesson. A white egg is placed on a white cloth under a light hung from a tall ladder. We are supposed to see how the thumb can pull shadow into form, how reflection returns by stealth to the dark underside of a full life. Light is a taking away, shadow a filling. Think of a mother's heft through her summer skirt, the transparency of a brother's death. To draw a line is forbidden. The curve of white egg against white cloth, pure shadow, a perfect interval where one thing is another and cannot be uncoupled. Thanks.
I'm Amy Davis. I'm not following Ed's suggestion. I had nothing new that was ready, and so I picked an older one that I've reached the point in the week where I'm so tired. I picked one that I knew, or thought I knew, I could enunciate. This is called From Di Boccacella's Resurrection of the Phoenix. Mostly, he said, he lost things. Pens, books, watches, hats. Love. Once, when he was young, before his father went missing, before he lost his mind. Sometimes, though, things came back. A watch he had dropped in Alaska, washed ashore in the Azores. Its inscription sent it home, still telling time, sometimes correctly. Sanity arrived all by itself, so he used it to write one great novel, some 600 pages and a bright dust jacket. The fame he never owned found him anyway, not in a garret, but welcome all the same. Hats, tickets, socks, he whispered. Of course. A sailboat turtled and sank off Key West. 3 first editions and his best guitar. Still, he loved the girl. He found hundreds of pennies in the last move, an odd shoe, his father's cufflinks, and a slip of paper wedged inside a hard cookie. Try something shorter, it commanded. He smoothed his hands across a small stack of paper. Verse, he said, drawing language from Di Pocacella's triptych, a page per panel. Though I don't much like the pile of ash, or the bird staggering to its feet. It's the third band of wood that gets me, the takeoff into firmament, the creases in the clouds, the way the sky reflects the earth, beyond the horizon, the mountain dropping low, below the wings. How the disappearing, how the edges. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anna Nelson, and I've been writing a book of poetry for animals, and this is one about trapping, and it's told from the animal's point of view. It's called Black Sun. I have this too. O sun, I cry out to you, my brutal witness upon my once proud fur. The upright ones I sought to stay a safe distance from, as the stars have finally caught up with me. I can smell their unnatural scent on this monstrous metal, mingling with the iron of my crushed bone, blood. Once gentle you were, black sun, as I basked and gave thanks for your warmth on winter morn. In anguish, pain, and thirst, I pant for the sweet lap of the river. O moon, I cry out to you, my silent companion. A few more nights of your lonely vigils and I'll be gone. Waning along your crest, now our solitary pact. I try to keep your beauty in my heart, as you were once mine too. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Anita, and this is a poem sort of from childhood, and it's not here. Okay. So, just to fill you in, I'm obviously from England, and I spent most of my life in London, but I did spend a lot of time in the Channel Islands, which is an archipelago of islands, which is actually closer to France than England and ought to be French, but it came over with William the Conqueror, so we've still got it. And it's kind of Guernsey, Jersey, Alderney, Herm, and Sark. And this is a bit about Herm, which is a very tiny island. It's probably about half a mile square. And when I was a girl, we used to hire fishermen to take us over there. And this poem is called Dolphins Generally Go in Couples. Herm was the smallest island, where a quirk of tides brought tropic shells in their millions. In the city of Iassus, there was a boy named Herminus, who used to travel the sea on a dolphin's back. On Herm we come to pick the cowrie, the marble cone, the whelks, augurs, and the kitten's paw. But on one occasion, a tempest suddenly arising, Hermias was brought back dead. We lie back on our elbows against the hills of shell, squinting up at the sun, And the dolphin would not return to sea, but lay down on the dry land, and there died. The pointed ends, the whorls, the spirals, and the one rock in the middle of the bay with one small cloud hung over it.
Evening, I'm Brian, and I'm going to read a poem from my second book entitled The Distance Between Shores. This book deals a lot with language and its different forms. It's got a bit about Nazi propaganda. It's got a poem about Ginsberg and when Howell was seized at the Mexican border. And it's got a poem in it that I thought of based on a workshop we did with Rick this morning, and also the work that Natalie's doing with her people, the Mojave. The poem's entitled Talking Leaves, Sequoia's Dance. And Talking Leaves was the Cherokee name for the white man's written word. It was also the name of the first Native American syllabary produced by a Mr. George Gist, aka Sequoia. George was a half-breed, and he set as his intention to put this Cherokee syllabary together, and interestingly enough was persecuted both by the Cherokees and by the white man. The white man, because the white man did not want the Cherokees to have the advantage in their mind of the written word, because they were busy using it to leverage the Indians. And the Indians persecuted him, the Cherokees persecuted him, because they felt that if the syllabary was put together and was written down, that their oral tradition and their words would lose their spirit and lose their mojo. But he did it. He got a few fingers tips cut off, and he was put in jail for a little while, but he did it. Talking Leaves, Sequoia's Dance. For 7 days and 7 nights I have placed myself beneath you, enduring the indifference of your branch, and still nothing. I know now what must be done. I must offer my possessions. Here are the 13 moons from the backs of turtles. Here is the sacred drink of the blue holly tree. Take too the shells of the whelk and the communal bread of our 7 tribal clans. Now I shall dance. Dance until the wind wakes you and your leaves begin to sway to the rhythm of my feet. Dance until sound turns to letter and letter to word, until the roses bloom wild along the trail of tears like ghosts returning. Only then will your leaves talk and tell me how to reach the heart of the wolf as it prowls behind blue eyes across the land of my people. Then, when the nights grow long and your leaves fall, I will take them and press them into the blood of ink and the tongue of paper, so they may speak again and again, not with the murmur of the wind, but the howl and hunger of the body. Thank you.
I'm Daniel Fishman. I've lived in California all my life. I've often heard people say we have no seasons here. I borrowed very heavily from Keats to express a different opinion. It's called Dear California Autumn. You're back with blaze of magic light, matured 8 minutes from friend sun and deep, rich air. Life burns in every leaf, each singing bird, the imminent divine flames everywhere. Dead leaves made live, world dancing in the breeze. Returned, your old alliances rule on. As if the sunny days will never stop, and pollination always reign, full on. Still partying, each one abuzz, the bees flash mob again, in all the flowering trees, milk every added blossom for each drop. Sublime is every day. Dry crinkly red leaves flame, near liquid, flexible, and green, where snails absorb live nutrients, well-fed and bubble leak their sturdy slime. crows preen. Tomatoes swell while compost turns to dirt. There are masses now of moss and circling shrooms, grapes sweetened toward fermenting on the vine. Late dahlias reach their peak, exquisite blooms. High-pitched shrill trill of hummingbirds, alert, zip in, sip theirs, take off. Up top they flirt and brag, then dive and zoom, blurred sheeny shine. Don't ask for spring's lush music, tender, new. You, California autumn, have your own. When seasoned gnats astride the sun shafts do their up-down elevator dance and drone, small crowds of full-grown songbirds chirp and croon, migrating branch to bush without a fuss. The wind shrieks lashing, wild, falls off, then dies. The unseen crickets and their kin percuss in rising falling choruses of tune. Long, luscious twilight, sweet with orange moon, so rising huge as bats shriek swoop the skies.
My name is David. Rick Kenny encouraged us to think about things that we wouldn't say out loud. And he talked about the word bully. And I thought about a time when I had been bullied. I've changed a few things. Collision in an auto body shop. As a senior, Scott ruled the high school shop, a beefed-up Ford Torino with broad front quarters tapered to his rear. He snorted scrotal animosity when the Subaru hatchback that he tried to jumpstart failed to turn over and purr. Swinging his cables, his stamping black boots amplified his irritation. Sweeping sanded body filler nearby, my shirt fully buttoned, I looked as much like a castrated steer as an AMC pacer. Take off your shirt, freshman. I reversed until I rear-ended a blocked rabbit. He lunged and I pushed back, grasping his wrist to grapple like bumper-hooked cars in a demolition derby. Chrome locked, we rolled down a Grand Prix, briar brown metallic, headlight to brake. Slammed against a cinder block wall, I grunted, inhaled his musky uniform, and coughed lacquer thinner and pink Bondo dust. My sweaty hands slipped, the jumper cable's teeth clenched. Red clamp, left nipple. Black, negative right. I jumped, flailed, and ran out sputtering, dented, distorted, and drained.
I'm Diana, and my poem came from Rick Kenny's class. We were passed out a couple of pages from Ed Hoog's latest book and told to take a couple of paragraphs, lines, and put them into a poem, which I did, and I have now got rid of Ed's lines, so I don't owe him any money for those. A face-off with mortality. Today, the shroud drapes loosely around my shoulders. I feel its weight in midnight thoughts, in the grieving flesh of my body. Gravediggers have already arrived, yet earth is still solid with time, and I have songs to harvest, words to hold like clouds in my hands. I need to stand alone in falling snow, throw the detritus of my life under its mantle of silence. When gravediggers touch moist earth with their shovels, I'll plant bluebells along the paths of ancient forests.
Hi, I'm Eric Howard, and I'd like to read a poem that I think it's a place poem. I like writing about places. It's about a house that I owned in a neighborhood of Silver Lake in Los Angeles, which is very hilly, and this house was set on a terrace. So there was there's street, and then the house, and then the backyard, and they were all different levels. And so I talked to the house in this poem. It's called "To the Terrace House." It was good to see your guts knocked out, enough to fill 6 truck containers and a new house rise from your frame after selling your aluminum-sided earthquake-crooked fugliness. I regret kicking everyone out of you, the drunk punk and lame director, the wannabe PA who slept in your shed, drummer girl, a crackhead, a family, and finally me. Your wall cracks where silverfish ants and roaches freewayed are gone, like the black widow that charged out between my eyeballs as I wrenched your drain. No more crawlies with countless knees that wave like misfit mohawks still crawling you, complicating the porn shoot, $500 for your bills, when I learned the proper rolling of extension cords. Goodbye shed that no band played in, soundproof too late to get drummer girl back. I am grateful for your coffee pot and happy pills. Work by 8:30, boss says Saturday too. 3 million words by Thanksgiving's greasy duck. I respect your 70 shag carpet that my demented cat used as a toilet. Thank you, overflowing toilets, retaining walls that didn't, and the water heater that puked to death and curled the floor. Goodbye, surrealist bathroom and refrigerator, and Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, the hunchback iguana raised on burritos and Diet Sprite. For your mortgage, I taught English 96 at the local CC, more students than chairs the first night. Bless my evaluator's bourbon breath. I bid goodbye to the neighbor's spite fence, the married lover who parked her kids before the TV, and everyone who lived in you, teacher, mother, faith healer, in-betweener, all picked from the fruit trees of your Bolgia. Goodbye, smoking air conditioner, unplumbed drawers and untrue floors, houseplants dying in galvanized buckets, and 436,000 escrow fuckets. I miss Roger, Sticky, Nicky, and Chuckles, who came to collect from the psycho Satanist former Playboy model who was already gone after getting high in the bathtub. The bullet hole in your kitchen wall is gone. I washed away the red paint dye and dog hair pentacle from your broken gate. From the chair on your porch, I contemplated the snow tire on a wheel that bounded through the glass door and thumped twice, its studs ripping carpet, before going through a window and down the hill. A burglar took a boombox through that window after it was fixed. Goodbye, your bedroom that drummer girl didn't come back to till morning when I left for work and she cranked hooker with a penis. Awe atwe vale, Halloween party I threw to let her go with. Waking up alone on the couch, doors open, various vomits. Goodbye, 300-yard restraining order circling you and me both. I'll let go of 100 drunk attempts to have that sex again with someone else. Bless the notches in the shotgun choke I pressed above my Adam's apple, brain out of reasons. After a shiver, one, I'd cause more pain. She said I loved you more than her. She was love. You were duty. I failed both. And the picture of her in my sweatshirt, drumming in the album with mostly empty pages, by setting it on fire and watching it turn black, curl cancerous smoke below your grapefruit. I'll let fall those 50-pound bags of gravel I shoulder down every step to the last level, when the sun flexed like a drum, like a heart attack.
My name is Fred Longworth, and excuse my remnant of laryngitis here. There's a little preface to this. In an effort to humanize and personalize the poetry scene, And to enrich the relationship between editor and writer, we now have, can anybody say what it is? Submittable. Previously, submishmash. The name of this poem, and is currently up on Serving House, is Submittable Takes Over the World. Eventually, the business of the entire world would be done by accepted or declined. A woman would have a baby, and within minutes she'd be handed a legal form with check boxes for accepted or declined. Before gangbangers could shoot at random people during drive-bys, the targets would have to hold up one finger signifying accepted, or two fingers denoting declined. Dating would be outlawed. A random man would approach a random woman and say, "How about it?" And she would bare one breast for accepted, and in a spirit of consummate irony, both breasts for decline. Brain tumors couldn't just take a hammer and chisel and gouge their way into a skull. No, they'd have to ask politely, "Sir, would you like a glioblastoma multiforme?" And the man would nod once for accepted and twice for declined. Even death, which dear Emily couldn't stop for, yet which chased her down like a Catholic priest in a mosh pit of naked prepubescent boys, would have to ask, "Emily, the carriage is out for a run. What do you say?" And Emily would hold up her labor for accepted and her leisure for declined.
I'm Glenn Stevens, and this is a fairly recent poem. You and I and 2 bottles of beer. You who knocked on my gate last night, come again tonight. I'll let you in, and you and I and 2 bottles of beer will sit on my front steps and watch it all go by. All the boys in the neighborhood and the girls from down the street will wave and call to us as they pass beneath the moon on their way to paradise. You'll play your guitar and I'll sing a song, so sweet, so full of hope and joy, of laughter and love and happy days from all the times gone by, that they'll stop and listen and sing with us in a chorus that will fill the sky until the stars fade in the chill of early dawn and the sun comes up, warms the empty street, while you and I lie sleeping on the porch. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Hallie Rundle. Diane, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, good. Okay, great. Ode to My Family, circa 1992. I was born afraid. I had my mother and her voiceover, words and pictures, see the fox in the bracken? Then I learned to read and write, but it helps less than you'd think when the world cracks open like a bum geode at the trading post. First disappointment, I picked out a bad one, then dread. I invented omens. Or when I learned the word, it just really hit the spot. I kept vigils over my parents as they slept, then over the baby too. She was so big, and if we were orphaned, how would I get her out of the tall crib? They got me a stepladder and kept it under her changing table. Of course I thought I'd be going it alone. We could sell flowers on the streets like book children was my #1 plan. If she knew how hard I'd had her back, she'd love me more, I think. But my sister won't read this poem or any of them. She says, I'm not smart like you, so I don't know what you are so sad about. No way, I didn't trust them at all. My parents, reckless and short-tempered, they broke their hands and chipped their teeth skiing and renovating. Some part of the house always plastic sheeted and off limits. So defensive. We're not lost. I know where we are. I just got turned around. And one time there was a flash flood. And my dad carried me across brown water, and we went and stood on top of somebody's truck in the rain. And he was scared, but then he said he hadn't been. They lied to me like crazy. My cat pictures were amazing, and my song was pretty. Well, yeah, it's Carmen, and it's your tape. Good job swimming by yourself. I remember thinking, I swam by myself? I remember thinking, they just talk. They promised me they weren't going to die, like a couple of immortals crouched eye level. To infuriate me right to my face, saying, don't cry, as if that would ever stop me.
Not shattering. After Harry, we'll take a short break. 5-minute break.
After Harry, you'll need a short break. When I was preparing to come up to the Hill last year, I had not read any Matthew Dickman poems at all. I didn't know anything about him. So I drafted this poem, which I've worked on since then. And I also will mention I use the word Google as a verb. And the Matthew Dickman poem I refer to is V in his lovely book. And it's a fine poem I still really, really like. So the title of the poem, Googling Matthew Dickman. I hear their jabber, women in the kitchen, leaping like a circus guy, from garden club gossip to a double hip replacement someone's brother-in-law needs back in Buffalo. And I could careen like that too right here into concern for polar bears, whose homes we're melting. But I'm looking up poets I don't know yet. I put Matthew Dickman in Google and get back his black rimmed glasses, his hair without a whisper of white. V is the first poem I find, and it makes me wonder if the I in it is really him, or a swaggering persona he'd like to be. The I meets a skinny girl with "Talk Nerdy to Me" on her t-shirt. And he thinks he can get into her jeans unbuttoned in a basement by candlelight. With my Mayday gray, if I wrote a nerdy poem about an isosceles evening with a talk to me woman shamelessly triangulating with me by the fire, would readers take words like "my fingers reached that row of buttons" to mean anything more than my remote control? My first urge to resent young Dickman gives way as he has his lustful persona kindly raise a right hand in a Vulcan-style V to the young woman, instead of adding to ways that the world's bombs and sleaze have always talked dirty to her. V comes around to a planet far away, perhaps the only place her hopes will be fulfilled. If I meet Dickman, I'll tell him about nights long ago when my buddy Harold and I would sneak out to scan shivering skies for just such possibilities. School sucked, parents were painful, and we had longings. Thank you.
I apologize in advance. Am I talking now? Do I have to read? Just kidding. Hi, I'm Kari Hockey. This is called His Dwelling Place. No matter what you believe, God does not live between my thighs. You cannot preach a Sunday service in these dirty sheets. From the pulpit, you yank my hair, pull my arms behind my back, and deep throat your gospel into my soul. I fake spirituality as you stroke with a Judas tongue. All sermons have lost meaning.
My name is Lori Davis, and I wanted to quickly thank our instructors who each have been brilliant and valuable in their own ways this week. It's pretty amazing how different you all are. It's great. This poem was born out of two curiosities, and one of them was the difference between telling something and saying something. I kind of meditated on that for a long time. We tell a story, we say a prayer, we tell a secret, we say, I love you, we tell the truth, we say, I'm sorry. So I really enjoy thinking about this. The other thing is how we unburden our hearts to perfect strangers on airplanes. Yeah, okay. This is called telling, another way of saying. What I suggested. Let's go over God and the universe one more time. What I meant to say. Undercurrents are the fluid part of the same conclusion. What I almost forgot to say. Air has no landmarks to prove we passed this way. What you reassured me. From the sky we look down into the face of our lives. What I heard you say. I want to be the longest distance you've ever traveled. What I think I told you. You feel like the part of a river that remains unfrozen. What you heard me say. Don't be afraid. Where we are going, there is no water, only everlasting ice. What we didn't say. Everything seems to describe the need to. What you said instead. Every emergency exit has two reasons. What I think you meant. Unlocked, I begin to understand your math.
We skipped over Kat. Kat?
I wrote my poem today, so it's no big deal. I don't care. Okay. All right. So I wrote this today in Ed Skoog's class, and it is a rough draft. So, Ode to Hypochondria. Tonight spent studying meticulously every symptom of meningitis, arrhythmias, and the occasional sinus infection. Swimming at the edge of a shore, awaiting a current to pummel me into the sand. To popsicle sticks that taste almost sweet, fluorescent, disinfected calm, home. My mind frantic with illness. Indulgence is a distraction of a lover, caressing my shoulders, arms, kissing me where it hurts, or the overwhelming joy of signing my name into the doctor's book, appointment 3:30 p.m.
I think Lee, now, sorry we lost light on the, Lee, Nancy, Pam, Penny, Artie, Sharon, Sasha.
I'm going to break the rules. I've been coming up to Idyllwild for years, and I had a dream once about standing at a lectern, having a chart next to me, and with a picture of a pine tree and tales, Idyllwild tales, it said. And I'm put together several Idyllwild tales, and they're very, very short. So I'm just going to read 2 or 3. Morning in Idyllwild. I stand outside myself and listen to the birds. Quiet inside. I left the noise of my life back in the city. Home again. Home again, I sang. 2 dark-crested blue jays welcomed me from nearby pine branches. A busy gray squirrel showed off. Climbed the tree trunk next door. High jumped to the roof. Scampered up the slope. Stopped at the peak. Winked back at me. Goodbye. Idyllwild story. Standing on the cabin's porch, I see an old pine tree with sturdy, thick trunk. Barren horizontal branches like steps moving up, ends lopped off by time. Skeletons of past life, stories left untold of squirrels and blue jays, pine needles and nuts. Broken arms invite me to reach top branches filled with sunlight. Needles exchanging toxins for infusions of new energy. My life is like the tree. 3/4 lived, bare bone memories of the past, green and living excitement, capping off the present.
I want to thank you all for who have given me feedback on my whale poem. It's been most useful, and I really appreciate it. This is
Say your name.
Nancy Campbell.
Thank you. That's for the camera.
Let's see. This is my first ode, so I really don't require feedback on this one. Ode to an amphitheater. Stunning you, elegant, your ancestors' cedars erect, they edge a canopy, breathless. Shroud today a horn-bled sky. Praise the knobbed stone stage. Cold the music, poets, phantom actors, ghost audience gone. Hallowed now within others, tiered grass mounds, turn dirt my feet and bequeath to us. Thank you.
I'm Pam
Hitchcock. This is the ode I wrote for Ed's class. Okay. Ode to a floor furnace with a grate. The heat is up too high. It is snowing. A gulf above the small debris sifting from our lives. My father in his Firestone shirt sweats blue moons. I'm eating Cap'n Crunch. Floating in my bowl, nothing makes the milk taste better. My mother whips meringue. It was once an egg. The sea, the snow, the milk, the moons. The heat is up so high.
I'm Penny, and I'm telling a secret. After midnight, tapping, sometimes I think I still hear her footsteps, the resigned tread of the insomniac. 2 weeks now, peach branches outside my bedroom window. The clock on the living room mantel strikes 3. I've laid out my school clothes, homework. Maybe it's the wind pounding on the front door. I slip on my white robe, the last gift my mother gave me, hurry down the hall. Clatters, crashes in the dining room. I flick on the chandelier. Tudor window panes shudder and break. A creature with broad shoulders is climbing through the black space where the window used to be. I pick up the dining room chair, the one with the lavender pansy my mother hooked. I think she'll be mad if I break her chair. Then remember, she is dead. The creature has cleared the window now, flung itself over the love seat. Man's home's supposed to be his castle. My father stands in front of me, naked. I try not to stare at the red pubic hair, his shriveled penis tipped jauntily to one side, as if trying to wave. I've only seen my cousin Rhonda, naked in her bubble bath, and Mrs. Roberts, Mimi's mother, who after cocktails stepped into her above-ground plastic doughboy swimming pool, her flowery, floppy breasts heading straight toward my face. Why the hell did you lock the front door, he asks. I can't see where blood dripping on the rug is coming from. I set the chair down between us. Something smells yeasty, like freshly baked bread. His breath is a cloud of Jim Beam. Where are your clothes, I ask. Somewhere, he says. Your keys? I peer into the night. The car? Somewhere else, God damn it. We stare at each other. Although it is spring in Southern California, ice seems to be rising from the floor, through my toes, up my legs and calves. He turns, trails of blood run down his clawed back. I picture a woman's red beauty salon nails. Glass shimmers on the love seat, on the rug. Our ordinary dining room, where my mother served her meatloaves, her pot roasts, now glitters like the ballroom at a palace. The king of his castle, white buttocks glowing, marching down the hall. Over his shoulder, he says, I'm going to bed. Turn off those lights. You'll run up the bill. Thank you.
I'm R.T. Sedgwick, and this poem came out of Diane Wachowski's workshop, and I wanted to thank her and the rest of that class for the helpful suggestions. Namesake. The lion within me will never lie willingly next to the lamb, nor would the lamb want him to. My playfulness is but an illusion, and its secret lies in keeping the casual observer off balance. My stories are mostly exaggerations, adorned with tiny lights and reusable tinsel. I am the hunter and finder of things not lost, like wild mushrooms or the blur of a blue jay. I am crystalline, resistant to chaos, brilliant reflector of incoming light, yet surrealistic enough to laugh at the dude who mistook Duchamp's fountain for the real McCoy until it leaked on his spats. Call me Elephant Boy, once proud owner of Coco Sales, the plaster of Paris pachyderm my father won for me at the Centerville Fair. I am that bonfire at heart as I watch October's harvest go heavenward. Green walnuts brought me close to my mother and stained our hands. Early on, I rode my grandfather's knee, pulling on his suspenders or fidgeting with the yellow drawstrings of a tobacco pouch dangling from his vest. And when he died, I placed a bouquet of long-stemmed dandelions, our secret flower, next to his coffin. On wash days, I watched my mother fight the wind, or Mercer's crow when it tried to steal her clothespins as she hung out flapping shirts and sheets. But when I handed her a green walnut fresh off the tree, she stopped her work, inhaled the fragrance, and smiled at me. I soon learned romance requires an occasional orchid, then the Bryn Mawr waiting room, first snow, first sun, then 2 more, and the rush to adulthood. Sometimes existence can be arid like the Great Plains in August, but there's always that eye-catching field of sunflowers, or that sudden summer storm that wets the earth and turns the grass to rainbows. I live in Del Mar now, and Bing Crosby says it's where the turf meets the surf. So if you come down, remember my name is RT, but I will answer to any of these: Hunter Dude, Elephant Boy, Green Walnuts. Thank you.
RT is always a hard act to follow. I'm Sharon Alexander. I'm going to read a poem called Cementerio El Encinal, Cemetery of Many Oaks. It starts with an epigram. The silence and serenity of the cemetery's gently sweeping lawns and historic monuments can be deceiving. Generations of Monterey families who defined our city now rest amid its sentinel oaks, woven like vibrant threads into the tapestry of Monterey's past. I set the weather on my iPhone, Carmel by the sea. Today, a low of 39, a high of 54, clouds, no rain until tomorrow. Friday, 52, rain likely, a low of 37. A crescent moon, a light fog where you are. Today in the desert it rained, it was cold. People here get confused, drive slow. I can't smell the ocean from here, but I know it's not very far. I get in my car, drive west, arrive in the time it takes to play 2 Leonard Cohen CDs. Monterey coastal fog passes over the place you rest, your ashes side by side, a mix of minerals and precious salt, hers Himalayan pink, yours coarse gray. I mixed your ashes with hers as you wished, got a special dispensation. They broke her urn, the 2 of you poured into one. My sister wanted you near, though a Catholic cemetery is an odd choice for your final resting place, and cremation unusual for Jews. I couldn't argue. Sequestered in your little plot, in the Jewish section, the thunder of Harleys on Sunday afternoons, your soundtrack for eternity. I moved away from fog in search of clarity. Now I wear sandals most of the time. Check the weather every day. Clouds, no rain until tomorrow. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sasha. And I'd just like to start by saying a huge thank you to Idyllwild, to this program, to this totally rad week, to the incredible poets that have come out and facilitated workshops that have just really challenged me and have been super fun, and I've just really enjoyed myself. I'm going to read something that is what I believe a direct product from my experience at Idyllwild last summer. It was my first time here, and I left just completely stoked, excited about poetry, and I went home and I annoyed all my friends about it, and a couple days after being here, I took a trip, and this came out, and I'd like to blame Ed, Brendan, and Matthew for this, so thank you. Port Townsend, gray and coastal. The hands of ancestors are in the water. We pass a bottle of red wine made somewhere over the mountains where the land is different, in vineyards on hills that know a different kind of winter. We pass it back and forth like the beat of our own hearts. Between swallows are secrets. You hold my hand, tell me something you've never told anyone. I repeat the stories I always tell you. When you said you had a crush on Saturn, I obsessed on the different ways I could engineer a means to get it to you, so you could always have it, around your neck like a talisman, or in your pocket where you could rub it in secret. Saltwater laps at stones and feet, and you make a smooth rock skip across sound, dance for the moon and for us like a peep show. In the water, there is a campfire, faces of family, and the words of my grandma's language. I remember the maiden at Deception Pass, and for a moment I want to saw off a piece of my own hair, to watch it curl and float like sea kelp, to prove that once we were here on this gray beach full of wet stones and wood, and we were in love. But a twisting lock of hair would only wash up tangled in beach glass. And I forget the legend at the splintering ache in my chest because something about it is too much. The night, the gentle pulse of ocean. I can't hold the grief of histories and legends that have lost their breath. Because you are here, and your fingers wrap around a bottle of wine, and there is something beautiful about each one of them as they curl. And something about holding you on the back of a motorcycle and the words Hood Canal make me think of sex. Stepping further from ocean, I feel the tugging breeze through my hair, the grip of wind and remembering. But in the room, we have more wine, hang from Victorian windows to puff smoke into the night like teenagers. And you sleep soundly, as a man should, breathing steady, filling the room with the proof of your life. Curled up on an old fainting couch that smells of dust and other people's love, I quietly watch you exist. Beneath covers, with heartbeats, with breath. There's a finger twisting in the hair I didn't cut, the body of water beyond the window, whispering and waiting for it. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming. Great. Have a good night.